Okay, and welcome back to Total War Shogun 2. I'm joined here by DrPepper and Kungshiwa, I think his name was. Yep. I like to see DrPepper here has a couple sets of Great Guard and some Yari cavalries, some Katana cavalry here, and some more Katana cavalry hidden. That's Yari cavalry, my apologies. I can see the main bulk of his force is down here. Most of them are hidden in the trees at the moment. There's opponent, I wouldn't be surprised already know that due to the fact that his general is down there. I can see Kungshiwa is now bringing up a heavy supply of his guns here and some spear infantry, and he's got some Great Guard as well, covering his right flank, so he knows he has cavalry up in these tree lines there. And you can see DrPepper is now bringing some more of his cavalry up on it. He's bringing them right across here onto the right. They're seeing quite a weak point here. Though Kungshiwa does have some Great Guard covering this side here. While DrPepper has some fairly highly ranked Yari cavalry, which should do quite well into the melee. But also he's got the Katana cavalry hidden to these trees. He wants to pull them up as well to give any aid into the battle. I can see now DrPepper is now bringing up the main bulk of his cavalry on this side. A couple sets of Great Guard and some Yari. So I can see here some cavalry workers into play. Kungshiwa needs to start now moving some of his forces around, covering his flanks from the cavalry, or else he's going to be charged pretty heavily, especially since he's got nothing really protecting his archers on the back line here. Though if he reacts quick enough, he can bring his Nagata warrior monks there down across to protect, and also it still does have some cavalry to help as well. You must also understand he may have some hidden units in these trees, which DrPepper need to be careful of. As you can see here, Kungshiwa is now pulling back his guns and covering his flank here with some Yari infantry. DrPepper doesn't really want to commit to a charge just yet. Charging into the Yari infantry that he has set up would result in quite a few heavy losses on his cavalry's part. But you can see he's now bringing up this couple sets of cavalry here on the backside, just to draw out some of his units here. So he's going to pull back. Some archer fire did hit them, but didn't get any casualties off. You can see he's starting to bring up some of his cavalry here slightly, still keeping them in the trees. As you can see, Kungshiwa has been forced to move into a square covering all of his sides. Some hidden units, as you just saw there, disappear into the tree lines. Though I do believe there are only sword infantry, so a cavalry charge could plough right through those with enough force. Okay. DrPepper can push up now. You'll still have quite a good bulk, especially since a lot of Kungshiwa's units are divided into the lines. You give them great opportunity to have much superior force into the front side here. Plus they had to move any units across here to support them. He has cavalry here, and he's got some as well right up behind to protect them there. So he's in quite a good position at the moment. He's pinned down Kungshiwa quite well here. No movement yet. No real movement from any of the two forces at the moment. As you can see here, DrPepper is now starting to mobilise some of his cavalry, coming fairly close to his units up on this side. I'm going to take this downtime just to apologise for myself at the moment. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm pretty tired. I've had work today. But as you can see here, that he's using his Yari cavalry into a direct charge into the samurai. As you can see here, Kungshiwa has forced out his Great Guard, which would probably best the standard Yari cavalry into melee. Some of the Great Guard did caught up there, managed to kill 3 of his cavalry units, 4 of them, my apologies. So some minor casualties has been placed into DrPepper's lines there. As you can see, Kungshiwa is just keeping his Great Guard on edge here. They'll be able to take down these Yari here, especially with some support they have pretty close by. DrPepper is quite stranded away here. His main block is still quite far away from everyone else. And he seems like to mobilize his cavalry. Okay, so he's put some unit up here, and he's got these now charging into these Katana Samurai here. Oh, he's pulling them back, just trying to force his counterpart out, it seems. What I believe the tactic he'll be trying to do here is trying to get his Great Guard to come and charge into one of them, into one of his units. As you can see, it's forcing them, trying to get them out, hit them in from both sides there, and try and sandwich them in with 2 sets hitting from both sides. Great Guard will have a tough fight on their hands if that's be the case. Now, I'm surprised while I was Kungshiwa here, I'll bring over some of my guns, some of my archers, just to do a fair amount of damage upon their lines. He has the opportunity to deal a fair amount. Like if he just pulls back this warrior monks here now, he doesn't have to be worried about the set of cavalry that was there. He's just pulled over onto this side, as you can see. Oh, he seems to be responding by doing that. He also had some Nagase warrior monks in there hidden as well. It's kind of uncertain right now for DrPepper. He can't really commit to a full-on charge because of his units all hidden in the trees. And as you can see now, he's set up his guns so they can do some heavy damage against the cavalry as well. As you can see here, he's just mobilizing his forces up slightly, trying to keep his lines up here, as you can see, not trying to make there be any open sides here for any flanks. With the bow more amongst at that veterancy, I wouldn't be surprised to have the extra range, but they also do have the sniping increased range ability, so he can do some heavy damage against his cavalry if he decides to. But he needs to be careful not to push him up too far in case he do get charged, and he doesn't want to bring up a lot of his lines, because you know, open up some areas for this set of cavalry to come up here. As you can see, Mr. Trader, my apologies, DrPepper is now putting up his cavalry here, mobilizing his main force. With extra cavalry here on the way, he could do good charge damage against these here, forcing him to brush up his men. That'll allow him to do as much damage as he can with all these cavalry he has there behind. Kungshiwa seems to be pretty boxing at the moment. He knows that he wouldn't have much attacks to do, and soon he could be freely corded in and have been hit from his left, his right, his front and his back flanks. So he seems confident. No, you didn't see that, just read out. Bring your main force up and let's battle. Oh god, wrong button, my apologies. Okay, as you can see here with the Katana cavalry, some of his Yari here, and he's pulled back this set of warrior monk cavalry, and he's got his Great Guard over on that side as well. He can do very devastating attacks if he does decide to charge. As you can see, he's pushing up some of his guys, his Katana cavalry into the melee here. Katana cavalry should just see there, you can just plow through those samurai units there, not really worrying too much. Heavy devastation would have happened upon that charge there, so it would have gave him a good edge here. And as you can see, since he's pulling back his Nodachi there, he would have had a lot easier chance to pull through, but he managed to turn around very quickly with all those 2 sets of arrows as well. And this one back here, that unit has routed incredibly fast. In that case, you can see this unit is starting to waver now, wasting some of the arrows, as you can see. Well, you can see now DrPepper is moving some more of his cavalry across. Good, be careful doesn't get into the arc of fire of these units of guns here, because that will take down a lot more of his cavalry. Some casualties that he could do with. I don't say he can do with that, he's still got a lot of supply here. Some fire arrows now going into the combat. Still got some melee force happening up. Someone's used the whistled arrows. Pardon. He's used the whistled arrows on his men, which will demoralize them briefly. As you can see with the charge here on the Yari Samurai and all of these arrows flying in, they are wavering fairly quickly and soon about to rout. And in the distraction, as you can see here, he's now putting up his Yari cavalry to climb right into the Grey Guard. And with this combat here, especially with support with the extra units, his Grey Guard will have a tough fight here. Kungshiwa will probably have to move some of his men up. Arrows fire still flying in. And you see he's now bringing up some support from his back flanks here. His archers are very open here, and he's about to get attacked by the Lone Sword Ashigar. This set of cavalry, as you can see here, charging to the side. His DrPepper is now bringing up his Great Guard into the second set of Kungshiwa's Great Guard here, with 2 sets of Great Guard. They're both the same rank, but since there are 2 sets of them, those Great Guards should rout and break soon. But Kungshiwa is now bringing reinforcements from his warrior monks, plus he's got the guns and they're firing as well. And I can see he's putting up some archers right in front of his guns, so those archers, if they're going to stand there, probably won't stand much of a chance. Their target for their general would be quite opportune at this time, since a lot of their men are dispersed. And I can see here, Kungshiwa's Great Guard now starting to waver. Lots of DrPeppers and Kungshiwa's men are routing upon this side as well. Great archer advantage from DrPepper's opponent right here, right now. As you can see, a lot of DrPepper's units are now starting to break under the immense fire from their guns and from their archers. Though the Great Guard didn't hold, he did have enough of his warrior monks there to hold on as well. As you can see, they've used Second Wind, both DrPepper and Kungshiwa, which give them a boost up on their fatigue and some speed advantage as well if they're charging, which is quite useful for their Yari infantry against the cavalry. As you see, the guns doing what they can. DrPepper has used his Avatar's bodyguard to charge in there slightly, try and get some men off of his guns, but with the arrow fire happening as well, they are taking casualties fairly quickly. It's only a matter of time until now Kungshiwa uses his men to engage into melee, as you can see here with his samurai, plus he's got his guns and his archers. He can surround him now with quite a heavy side, but he's still got his general left and he's got some guys fighting. Most of his men are now just archers, so it should be quite safe. DrPepper need to get his general out of there fairly quickly. The Nagata warrior monks will slowly but surely cut down that general fairly quickly. The DrPepper seems to be charging them, keeping up this melee here, but as you can see, with the Warcry ability that's been dropped by the warrior monks there, their morale has dropped rapidly. I believe is now that his general was wavering and most possibly dead. As you can see, the rest of his units now routed, with the guns and archer support there for Kungshiwa. It didn't look good for him being boxing at the very beginning, but fair game to both of them, did play very well. Hope you enjoyed that battle, and see you next time.